this is a subject that people don't like to talk about because of the emotions. You feel embarrassed, you feel ashamed, and you just don't like to admit that. And I'm a prideful person, but boy, that's been shattered.
Do you know someone who's been a victim to a cyber scam? Well, if you don't, let us share our story. The story of Nanna, a true story, an 85-year-old woman who lost $5,500 and also went through the emotional turmoil of having your world turned upside down in a matter of hours by scammers. This situation is all too real to many people across the world, but it's something that we simply don't talk about. But Nanna is brave, and Nanna wants to help others. In this video, I'll be interviewing Nanna as well as some of her close family members to talk about her experience and hopefully educate you so that you and your family members don't fall victim to a cyber scam in the future. Because yes, it can happen to you just like it happened to us. Before we actually get into the interview, there are two ways you can help make this situation better for Nanna. First off, you can share this video and help create awareness about cyber scams so that others don't fall victim to this and have to go through the same things that Nanna did. Believe me, it's not pleasant. Secondly, if you're in a financial position to do so and feel that out of your heart you want to give to the cause of Nanna losing most of her bank account and her monthly expenses, you can go and donate through the link below. Go check it out. That aside, we'll be hopping over to the full interview with Nanna. We hope you enjoy. Do you want to just start by maybe walking me through how it actually happened? So first off, what were you doing before the pop-up came up? Were you just browsing the internet like any other day, or what led up to that event?
I was actually searching for flights on Allegiant Air to go and visit a friend of mine in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was on the Allegiant Air website.
When you were clicking around, what popped up on screen?
So then in the middle of the screen, a message came up that said, your computer's compromised. Do not turn it off, or you risk losing all of your data. And I could put in my name and password, or I could call the Microsoft number. Well, I knew better than to put in my name and password, so I called the number. And that was the beginning. When that happened, my first thought, I'm program coordinator for a language school. We offer Spanish classes in after-school programs and daycares and such, and I have all that data in my computer. And so my first thought was, I can't lose that data. And so I called the number.
And had you seen anything like this before in using a computer at all? Had you had similar things happen in the past? Or heard of them?
I had not, no.
So at that point, you're on your computer looking for flights just like anyone would do in a totally normal situation, not outside of the norms of just what we would define as regular internet usage. And then you called the number. When you first called, walk me through then what happened with that. Did it all seem legitimate to you at the time?
It did. He picked up and he answered Microsoft customer support. So I thought I was connected to Microsoft. And then he asked me to explain what was on my screen. And so there was a lot on there, but I just read the first part. And he said, oh, I know what's happened. Somebody has hacked into your computer. He asked, what else did I have? Did I have another computer? And so I said, well, my phone and my iPad. And do you have a landline? No, I just have my cell phone. So he was gathering information all along the way, and I was answering his questions, thinking I was talking to Microsoft customer service. And he said things like, don't you worry, Miss Martha, we're going to take care of you. We're going to get your computer all cleaned up. We're going to, because we take good care of our Microsoft customers. And then somewhere along the way, or pretty early in the game, he said, did you make a withdrawal from your checking account or from your bank account at 4:30 this morning? Actually, it looks like it went to a porn site in China, he said.
Oh.
And I said, absolutely not. I didn't do that. He said, well, someone is trying to withdraw $5,500 from your bank account to go to this porn site in China. That certainly frightened me.
Throughout the whole process then, at least in the beginning portion up until he mentioned the money coming from your bank account, did you have a lot of trust in him? Did he seem...
Well, he said...
Was he doing a lot to earn your rapport?
Yes, he was. And I questioned him. I said, how do I know who you are? And he said, okay, I'll show you that I'm from Microsoft. So my computer was locked up and I could do nothing. I couldn't close that screen. I couldn't I couldn't shut it down. I couldn't do anything. He told me how to open up a little screen in the bottom left-hand corner, and he told me to type in Google, which I did, and he had me type in his name, and at that point, just like you're researching anything on the internet, a list of names the same as his came up, and he told me which one to click on, and it said that that was his Microsoft, supposedly his Microsoft profile, which said he had been with him for 7 years and, whatever else it said. Then he was talking to me all this time. Yeah, I've been with Microsoft for 7 years, and I'm here, and I had already asked him where he was, and he said in Houston. He was assigned to Houston right now, but he had been in Phoenix, and he had been in, he named a number of different places where he had been on assignment with Microsoft.
It sounds like they really went above and beyond then to kind of try and demonstrate to you that this was the real thing, even though they weren't, which is amazing what great lengths they'll go to try and take advantage of someone. As you were going through the process then and got to the money portion, like them bringing up that your bank account may be compensated, how did that make you feel? Did you feel like you had to take immediate action?
Absolutely. I was sick at my stomach, And I said, well, let me call my bank. And he said, no, because your phone line is not secure. And if you call anyone else on your line, you will open up their line to the hackers. So, of course, I did not want to compromise anybody else. He said, what we'll do, I'll set up a secure line to your bank, and I'll connect you with your bank. He said, it'll take me just a few minutes. Then when he came back, he said, I've got it all set now, just call your bank. And the phone rang, and the automated answer, came up like it does at my bank, and gave me the list of options, which was just like when I call my bank, they are good at what they do. He told me which option to choose, and when I did, a gentleman by the name of Roger answered, and I thought I was talking to someone from my bank.
It's amazing that they bring in two people then to make it work or seem legitimate. Then when you actually got wired over to the supposed bank, did he also echo the same story that your account had been compromised?
Sam told me to ask him if there had been a withdrawal against my account at 4:30 that morning. And he said, yes, there has. Absolutely. He says, I see it right here. Did you do that? And I said, no, I absolutely did not. And he said, well, that's interesting because we sent you an email, or we sent you a text mail asking if you authorized those charges. If you didn't, you were to press 1. If you did, you were to press 2. And you pressed 2. That said you authorized those charges. And I said, no, I never got a text message from my bank. And he said, oh, that means that your phone is compromised. They've intercepted your text messages.
They made it sound very dire and
Yeah.
of the moment, let alone that they caused you, the financial implications of this, but even the emotional roller coaster that it sounds like that they put you through, maybe thinking that your whole identity was stolen or
Right.
something of that nature, are secondary side effects that an outside person might not be able to necessarily understand. So you've done a great job so far of explaining that, so thank you. Once you got to the bank point, how much time had passed in this call? Have you been on the phone for a long time at this point, or?
Probably an hour and a half, going on 2 hours. I was probably on the phone with him maybe 5 hours total. Because then, so the banker, my supposed banker, said the way to correct this would be for me to go immediately, and we only had until about 4 o'clock to get this done, to go immediately, take my debit card. By then he had found out that I had a debit card and I had no credit cards, which I have no credit cards. I just have the debit card. And so he made sure that I had no other accounts. He wanted to know if there's anything else he could steal, I suppose. He said the way we can protect your money is you take your debit card and you go to either Publix or Walgreens or Target or CVS, and you withdraw all of your money in $500 amounts, put it on a gift card. So I went to Publix, and he told me to, if anybody asked me, if someone asked me to do this, I should tell them no, and that I was just getting gift cards because I was going to give my children and my grandchildren some gifts and get as many as I could in $500, because that's the max you can put on a gift card. I did $3,000 there, and yes, they did ask me, and I said no. Nobody told me to do it, so I did just what he told me to do, which was wrong, of course. Bad. So then I got back and he said, don't turn off the phone, just put it in your pocket. Of course, he wanted to hear, I realize now he wanted to hear everything that was going on. I got back in my car, and he asked me to scratch off the back and read him the numbers, because they were setting, he said, we need to do this right away to get this in this new account that we have set up for you to protect your money. And again, part of the time I was talking to Sam, and part of the time I was talking to the banker. And they would switch back and forth. He would say, wait just a minute, let me connect you back to Roger so he can explain the next step you should take.
At that point, it really seems like they were isolating you, telling you not to talk to anybody.
Right.
And
right.
misexplaining the whole situation.
They were making sure I stayed on the phone so I wouldn't call someone else.
Wow. It's crazy how they can have the nerve to do that type of thing.
No, they didn't actually talk to anyone, because Sam would say, now I'm going to be on the line, but don't let Roger know I'm on the line, because if he knows I'm on the line, he won't give you any information.
I thought they would have maybe talked and tried to play off of each other, but
No.
the fact that they stayed separate really just made it so you'd buy into the fact that this is all,
Yeah.
very serious and urgent, and the fact that they had you do it in your car is just wild too, that they they were that hungry for it.
Because they didn't interact, I assumed it was because he wanted to make sure it was a secure line. That I
Oh,
realized,
When you had given them the gift cards, then how did things wrap up? Did they tell you to do anything with your computer, or how did things end?
Yes, he said, okay, it's going to take me about 15 or 20 minutes to finish cleaning up your computer and making sure there are no bugs in it and that it will be safe to use and you will not lose any of your data.
And did he involve you in that process at all?
No.
Are you aware that he connected it all to your computer?
I never gave him access to my computer. No. So I'm sure he never did anything to my computer. And then, of course, I brought my computer to Howard, my grandson, Rachel's husband, and he went through it. He spent the next 3 days off and on going through my computer to make sure there were no bugs put in it.
Nice to have people like that, right? To make sure that everything's spick and span.
I tell you, Dave, I never would have gotten through this. Now I'll get teary again. I never would have gotten through this. Just by the grace of God, my daughter Jeannie and her husband were here visiting. And between them and Rachel and Howard, they got me through this.
It's unfortunate for the situation, but I mean, if anything, your story now is very impactful and will surely be used for good. But obviously, you have lost some funds because of this, and what we hear, or what I've heard, is that there's a GoFundMe that'll be set up to help you maybe recoup some of those funds. What would that mean to you if you could have that back?
Well, it would mean a great deal because that covers my expenses for the month, and I don't have a lot. I'm certainly not a wealthy woman by any stretch, and that would be a great blessing if I could recoup some of those. And of course, but my goal in all of this, besides putting that aside, that's just money, but putting that aside, the emotions, the stress that I've been through, I just don't want anyone else to have to do that. And so if in some way this can help people to learn what's out there and save them all of this emotional stress and trauma that I've been through these last few days, and that I put my family through. It has not been pleasant.
And that almost, compared to the monetary funds, is really a drop in the bucket. The amount of emotional trauma that you've gone through, I'm sure, has been really stressful. And when you get on a computer now, do you look at it a bit differently?
I haven't been on it yet.
Do you think after all this that's something you'll go back to cautiously, or you?
I have to go back on. I have work to do for the business I work for. I definitely will. And in talking with a good friend of mine and sharing it with her, she said she encouraged me to do this because this is a subject that people don't like to talk about because of the emotions. You feel embarrassed, you feel ashamed, and you just don't like to admit that. I'm a prideful person, but boy, that's been shattered. And so she said, we just have to start talking about this. So everybody, almost everybody I've talked to since then has either had an experience, knows someone who's had an experience. People just really need to educate themselves as to what is going on out there and prevent, take every precaution they can to not let it happen to them and to tell others so it doesn't happen to other people. It's just something that we should be talking about and making people aware of.
I commend your bravery and agree with you 100%. This is something that we need to share, and we hope that we can help you through this process of making the videos, spreading it on social media as much as we can to get this message actually out there. But for someone like me who's aware of these things and that they've gone on, but never actually seen somebody directly impacted, but now I do and see the dire need for people to be educated. What do you think are things that we can do to help, spread awareness or even educate? Is this something we should be proactively bringing up with those in our household or in our families?
Oh, absolutely. And I know we've been in touch with the Sheriff's Department. I know that they go out and talk to senior groups. But you know what, Dave? It's not just seniors. It's across the board. I mean, in one article I read, they said that 10% of the millennials have been scammed through ticket sales, and that's only what's been reported. I mean, it's just not the seniors. It's everybody.
You're right. This is something we should be spreading to more than the senior community, but even to those who just might not be aware, because from everything you said, that sounded everything convincing. They're putting you on short time periods. They're playing on all your emotions to get you to do things. So it's really a difficult trap to get out of once they've got you.
So what I would say to people out there is do not ever give information to someone over the phone who you do not know. If situations like this come up, talk to people you trust. Tell them about it. Share it with them. Educate yourself. Go online, and find out about all the scams. I was absolutely shocked at the number. It just goes on and on and on and on. But the biggest thing is to be aware. And I had never given it much thought, and I figure, you know what? I'm savvy, I'm educated, I keep busy, but I got scammed.
But now we use this as an opportunity, so.
Yes, Genesis 50:20, that was after Joseph had been sold by his brothers. He said, you meant this for evil, but God used it for good. And I have to say, the other emotion I went through was anger. I got so angry that they would do this. And they would do this to me. And then I got angry at myself for letting them do this to me.
Yeah.
In that situation, that was a good emotion because it kept me going and helped me to carry through with this tonight and maybe help other people.
It always amazes me, though, that, the people that actually run these scams, that they can do something so intricate and so well planned. And obviously it takes some slight of genius to put this together, that they can't just use that to do something positive and make the world a better place, but instead they're preying on others for money that was hard worked for, and hopefully they get a whiff of this too and maybe have a change of heart.
What would you say to someone who may be in the situation you were a couple days ago, having just been scammed, and is feeling isolated, alone, angry, upset?
Well, I will tell you what I did. I got out my Bible and I started reading God's promises. What I would say is talk to your family or friends someone you trust and someone you can be totally honest with, and you know that they won't be judgmental, you've just got to talk to someone. You can't go away, and that's not easy for me. I'm not a person that shares a lot of my deep thoughts. That was really hard for me to have to tell my family, this is what's happened to me. Because I'm supposed to be the Nanna, and I'm supposed to be perfect, So talk to someone you truly trust who will be by your side through it all.
Makes it a lot easier when there's that support system.
Right. And the other good thing that came of all of this is that I truly feel loved. You've been alone for so many years, and but my family just gathered around me, and a couple of really good friends who texted and called, and I just felt the love.
Especially with everything going on in the world right now, it's so easy to feel alone. Coming together certainly brings a feeling of hope and relaxation, so we were glad that you were able to find that during this time. You obviously weren't directly involved in this situation, but kind of walk me through when you first found out about things, how that made you feel, and what was really going through your head when you heard that someone close to you has been a victim to this type of scam.
So we live really close to Nanna, just for the past couple years, and she is awesome. I tell people she's 85 going on 50 because she's just so young and active, and we have 4 little kids, and she'll babysit all of them, no big deal, and she just loves it. So everyone loves Nanna, and she's just a helper and just loves to do whatever she can for other people. So we were going to go swimming at her condo, and when we got there, she wasn't down there, and when she came down, you could just tell that something was wrong. Her shoulders were all hunched over. She looked old, and she never looks old. Sorry, Nanna. She never looks old. She always looks so young. And she told my mom, who was visiting, that her bank account had gotten hacked. And so then it took a while for us to realize that that's actually not what happened, and that the whole gift card scam thing had taken place. So we made her come over to our house that night because she was just not in a good place mentally and emotionally, and it just devastated all of us. Our oldest could tell that something was wrong also. She's 7, and she could tell that something wasn't right with Nanna. So we had to explain to her, sometimes bad people do horrible things, and somebody took all of Nanna's money. So our daughter right away wrote a card that said, "I hope you get your money back. Here's a start." And she put in some coins that she had in her little coin jar. It was a rough night for all of us because we could all tell that it kind of broke her, and we were scared that she wasn't going to bounce back from it because, sometimes things happen that break people, and then they're just done, and that's, So we prayed a lot for her and helped as much. My husband helped a ton with calling the bank and trying to figure out what was going on with her computer and all of that. And we mentioned doing a GoFundMe for her just to get back her money, and she was really hesitant about it because she was so embarrassed, which is understandable. Everyone is embarrassed if something like this would happen. The very next day she came back and she said, "I want to do it, but not because I want the money, but because I want to help other people. I don't want other people to go through this," which is just amazing that she can take it and turn it like that so quickly and realize that she has this awesome opportunity to help other people. It's something that no one talks about because it's embarrassing, and you think you're the only person that it happens to. So it's so awesome that Nanna is able to use this to help other people, hopefully. We're super proud of her. She has just done an awesome job with it.
What do you think are things that people should be doing just with their family members to make people aware of this situation so that it doesn't happen to others?
If you see of scams out there, make sure to tell everyone in your family. Actually, my mom, she had seen about this same scam on Facebook a couple weeks ago, and she was thinking about telling Nanna about it, but she's like, oh, Nanna wouldn't, that wouldn't happen to Nanna. So then she felt bad, of course, but it's not like it was her fault. So if you see of a scam, talk to your family about it. I know that the sheriff's department offers some classes. I don't know, I feel like there's not a lot out there, and it's really something that there could be a lot more. I guess for right now, a lot of word of mouth, and if we can get some classes going, that'd be awesome. Our area has lots of elderly people who are still like computer savvy and all that, so to be able to get them to understand what these scams are all about would be awesome. If we can start in our area, and then who knows what we could do.
Made it sound like is that it kind of just took the life out of her for that period of time for a second. Just wasn't the same. Yeah. And I'm sure that was hard looking on.
Oh, it was awful. It was scary for us to see that, for sure. Yeah.
Wow, this really was an eye-opener for me personally. Just like you were probably thinking 10 minutes ago, and I was thinking a week ago, this isn't something that'll happen to someone close to me. Well, it did, and I hope it doesn't happen for you. Now that you've gotten a taste for the interview with Nanna, if you want more information and would like to see the full interview, yes, Jack is putting together a monstrous video to help us create awareness about this hot topic. Check it out via the link in the description below. Secondly, and maybe most importantly, any revenue gained by 3411 Heaven for this video series on Nanna will be donated to her cause to help recoup some of those funds that were lost from the scammers. Again, if you'd like to support her financially via the GoFundMe campaign, you can also find that in the link in the description below. But please, please, please help create awareness of this issue by sharing the video with people that you think might be susceptible to this type of scam. And believe me, it happens to the old, it happens to the young, so you might as well share it with everybody. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like on it. And if you're seeing this video and you think, wow, I want to see more of these guys in the future, and definitely follow along with Nanna's story, well, then go click that subscribe button. As always, we end every video, but this one's for you, Nanna. Bird out.